So when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 maybe, in junior high, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about, how cool it'd be to be a millionaire. And then I was just going through figuring out, okay, if you were a millionaire, how much money could you make a year? And at the time, and this was admittedly quite a while ago, savings accounts, by law, got 5.25%. So no less and no more. So you got 5.25%. And so that was $52,500 a year. And I thought to myself, I don't know what I thought at the time. At the time I thought, well, that's less money than I would think. But on the other hand, that was a way in which it was safe year after year after year after year to get this $52,500 per year. So there's a pot of money, right? That's my pot of money. So there's a pot of money, and it's trying to spew off each year some amount. So this is the idea where you just sort of save a bunch of money and then invest it in some way. Let's say invest in the stock market, and how much could you get back per year? And so there was a study done called the Trinity study. And this Trinity study looked at 30-year periods from way back before the Depression all the way to present day, which was about 10 or 15 years ago, and looked at if you had a combination of stocks and bonds, mostly stocks, how much could you take out every year? What percentage could you take out every year without going down to zero? Okay, and I'll take it back. It was a percent per year, and then adjusted for inflation. So the idea is you take the pot of money at the beginning of this starting 30-year period. You come up with a percentage, like let's say 5%, and you say, okay, I get 5% a year, and it also gets to increase based on inflation. And I'm going to just see, do I run out of money? Do I run out of money in this 30-year period? Do I run out of money in the next 30-year period? Do I run out of money in the next 30-year period? And so on. And what they found was that the chance of running out of money was extremely small if you went 4%. So you have basically sort of like a pension that is giving you this amount of money. So if you start with $1 million, you get $40,000 a year. And then the next year you get cost of living, and the next year cost of living, and you've got that, and that'll last you for your, let's say, 30 years. Okay. In the vast majority of cases, actually, it's not that you ended up with zero or even less than you started with. Often you ended up with much more than you started with, it turns out. But this number here, this 4%, is what we're going to consider the safe withdrawal rate. So if you can make a pot of money that is 25 times your annual expenses, you're financially independent. Okay, so you want this to be greater than or equal to 25 times your annual expenses, where the 25 times 4% leads you 100%. Can you make more than this? Possibly. If you have rental properties, you can often make more than 4% a year, but this is just assuming you're in the stock market and also assuming historical results, right? And also kind of looking at what the worst case beginning 30 period is for starting. Is the worst case at when stock prices are high or stock prices are low? That is, are you better off in a recession or right after a big run-up in a bull market? Which is harder to actually keep all your money or not go to zero? Which is more likely to lead you to go zero? If you're at the end of a bull market and then you start your 30 years there, or if you're down sort of at a trough like 2007. A recession is a better place to be starting your 30-year period. Because if you have $1 million at the bottom of recession, there's nowhere to go but up. If you have $1 million, of course, you never know when the bottom of the recession is, which is kind of the problem. If you have $1 million at the top of the market for some cycle, then there's nowhere to go but down, at least for a while. So we're going to be using this 4% number for doing some calculations in a bit. But does that make sense? So if you want, and it gives you a nice target, if if you decide you need 80,000 per year living expenses, what do you need as a nest egg using the 4%?
So that's, I think, 2 million, right?
2 million, right. So if you have 2 million, that'll give you 80,000 per year. Okay, so it kind of gives you a target, lets you know. If you want 160,000 a year, you need $4 million. You know, if you want larger numbers, then you just do a bit of arithmetic to come up with it.